All right. Hey, folks, this is Nate from Western PA Sports Blog, joined by my greatest friend in the world here, Jake Mercer. We're both natives of Ridgway,
How you doing?
Pennsylvania. And Jake ran at St. Vincent College for 3 years, or for 4 years, pretty much 3.5 years because of the pandemic, kind of wiping out his senior season there of track and field. So, hey, Jake, really appreciate you jumping on with me and being my first one that I'm gonna upload to Instagram and hopefully YouTube as well. I appreciate having you.
I appreciate you being here, man. I appreciate the time and looking forward to doing this.
For sure. Yeah. So obviously behind you, we got Steelers stuff, Penn State stuff. We got a baseball, basketball, football. What are some of your earliest memories of sports that you can, kind of look back on?
Yeah, I mean, sports has been a part of my life really since I was like 3 years old. I remember, I was 4 years old playing t-ball, and then my cousins, TJ Wiley and Hannah Mercer, they really were the two that kind of like really peaked and got my love for sports going. And I just remember, going to TJ's football games. He was a quarterback at Teal in the early 2000s. And I remember going to his games when I was 4 years old. And I just remember, just loving every minute of it. And, just memories of playing with Hannah and then my other friends in the backyard. Like those are my earliest memories of sports and, how I came to love it. And I really haven't turned back since. So, I really loved everything about it from, football to basketball to baseball. I just wanted to learn everything about it. And I've really become engrossed in sports really ever since I was 4 years old. So,
Yeah, for sure. You talked about some of your family members. TJ went to Teal. Hannah Mercer played softball at IUP. You had your Uncle Terry too, great runner at Mansfield. World
yep.
renowned runner. His running he's still running today, but with some challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about kind of your family influence and kind of how being an athlete and a college athlete too is kind of like almost a family business for you at this point.
Yeah. We've definitely had a few college athletes, especially on my mom's side of the family. All of them have really been instrumental, in my process of being a college athlete. And not just those, not, just my cousin TJ and my cousin Hannah and my uncle Terry, but everybody really in my family has inspired me and really, kind of kept me going. And they really have been an inspiration and been there for me since day one. I mean, those three, as far as college athletics goes, those three really have been, very, very important, especially, my uncle Terry, because he's, involved with the sport of running and, he's been around it for so many years and he's kind of been, really given me advice since I started running when I was 15. So I'm just so blessed and so fortunate to, not only has him as my running mentor, but also as my uncle. And not just him, but I mean, my other uncles too. And like I said, just everybody, they've been instrumental and influential, in my process of becoming a college athlete. So I can thank them enough for all their love and support.
For sure. Yeah, man. You got a great support system. You got a good group of friends around you too. You met some of your greatest friends in the world at St. Vincent College. But let's kind of
Yeah.
talk about when you kind of started running. I mean, everybody, remembers kind of like running around as a little kid. But when did you kind of realize this was possibly your sport? Because you experimented with several sports growing up: basketball, wrestling, baseball, football. When did you kind of realize this was the right sport for you? Do you have a kind of an aha moment for the sport of track and field and cross country?
Yeah, well, actually, my uncle Terry, he kind of he wanted me to run. He was kind of pushing that when I was in seventh or eighth grade, and then I was like, no, I'll stick with basketball. And I also tried football out my eighth and ninth grade year. But then I ran a race at Cook's Forest spring of 2013, and and I had fun doing it. I just had fun, and I really loved it. I loved seeing the crowd and just being out there competing with so many different people. And it's just like, this is fun. And I just kind of got hooked from it, from there. That's kind of where it started. I mean, I didn't run that great of a time, but I enjoyed it. And I was, kind of high-fiving people, as they were watching me finish. And I just enjoyed it. And I really never looked back from that point on. So yeah, that's really the first moment where I was like, you know what, I think I can do this, and stick with it for years to come. So
Yeah. Do you kind of remember, making that tough decision to not go out for the football team and, not play baseball anymore and decide to play, decide to run track and field? Do you kind of remember like how tough that was for you and, what you were kind of doing, kind of behind closed doors, if we want to put it that way, what you were kind of doing and people didn't even really know about it. You told me, you were going up to the track every day and nobody even knew about it. You're running and you were kind of afraid to tell people. Kind of talk about that a little bit and why you were kind of afraid to tell people when you first started.
yeah, I mean, you hit it right on the head there. Like I texted you, and nobody really knew what was going on. The big thing is like my friends were in football, and actually I was gonna try to do both football and cross country, but I knew it'd be that'd be very difficult, and I figured, so it was gonna be my sophomore year, first year in varsity football. I knew I probably wouldn't play that much, so I had to make that tough decision, and it was difficult. I mean, it was a difficult process for me, and honestly, that was probably the hardest year of high school that I had, because I knew all my friends were doing football, but I knew, for me personally, that doing cross country was the best for me going forward athletically. And it was hard. And I'm sure, not just myself, but a lot of other athletes have to make that decision. So um, you know, if you're in a place where you have to make a decision either to follow the crowd of your friends or do what's best for you, I know doing what's best for you is a tougher decision, but it'll probably pay off in the end. And fortunately, that's what that decision did for me. So
For sure. Yeah, man. You can't argue with the results. I think you were when you entered college, you were one of three college athletes from your graduating class of Ridgway of 2016. And when push came to shove in 2020, you were the only one left, so you're
yeah,
the last man standing, the only college athlete from your class of about 80 people from high school, which is pretty special. So, kudos to you
yeah,
for that. Let's talk about kind of growth and, kind of realizing potential. When you said when you first started, obviously you had some talent, you kind of had some raw ability and stuff, but you really progressed, from your sophomore year to your senior year. And, you didn't even know at one point if you were going to be a college athlete. You said, I want to, but I don't know if that's possible. Kind of talk about the progression and, how much better you got over those 3 years to kind of realize a dream of being a college runner.
yeah. Well, the first 2 years, I was kind of like stagnant with my times. And to be honest with you, like I never really had a good track season in high school. Um, but like cross is where, I really kind of broke through, and it really didn't come until, I mean, like I had a couple good races my senior year. But like I really broke through districts my senior year, and that's when I placed, and that's when I figured, what, I mean, this could be a real possibility. But I was recruited, by schools. I got stuff in the mail, but like I really wasn't like heavily recruited, like as far as like in-person visits go. Um, but I really was only recruited by Teal, and then I put in my information for St. Vincent, and then I talked to them, and then I went on to run there. But really, like my breakthrough, as far as realizing that I could be a college athlete was my senior year of districts. And like I didn't want to go into a situation where I knew I wasn't going to be at my best. So I felt like I really needed to put down a good time and say, hey, like this is it. this is the time to make my mark. And I feel like that, I did good enough to where, I could feel like I could run at that level. So that was really my breakthrough.
Sure, absolutely. You talked about Teal, you talked about St. Vincent. I can remember when you went on some of those visits. I remember you went to Clarion and thought about running unattached. I
Yeah.
think you made a wise decision not to do that because that's just a tough, just a very tough thing to do.
Yeah.
But ultimately, St. Vincent, great school. You got the Steelers training camp there in normal circumstances. Obviously,
Yeah.
this past year, which is insane, they didn't have it. But why'd you feel like St. Vincent was the entire package for you? The academics, the people there, and obviously the ability to run two different sports, actually three different sports there, if you count indoor as well.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it, like, once I stepped foot on campus, like, it just felt like home. The coaches, the team there was so welcoming. And the professors were so nice, and it just felt like the perfect match. It felt like that was the best place to where I could grow athletically, but most importantly, academically. And it just felt like home. It just felt comfortable, and they made me feel like one of their own, even though, I was just on one in-person visit. So, like, it just, once I visited there, I knew that I was gonna go there. So it felt like home, and it just felt, like family. So
For sure.
that's, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about your time at St. Vincent. There was a streak going on when you got there. Obviously all you runners on the men's cross country team felt the pressure to continue the PAC win streak. I believe you continued it, and then it snapped, and then you started a new streak. Let's talk about kind of the highs and the lows that kind of accompanied that, kind of maybe the roller coaster ride that you kind of consider your college cross country career to be.
Yeah, well, my freshman year, I mean, our team was loaded. I mean, we had a lot of older guys that really set the standard, as far as, because we had 7 seniors my freshman year on that cross country team, and they really, set the standard, and they really took me in almost like a little brother. And really, like, not just me, but the rest of the freshmen and the other younger guys, you already knew, like, kind of what to expect, and what the standard was, to maintain the streak. And um, you know, we we'd won several conference championships, and you know, it took, the first guy to the last guy. We knew what the standard was, and honestly, like, I played a role, but, like, I really wasn't that influential in, us winning a, a championship. But, like, it was just awesome to be part of that team. And then, you know, I think after my freshman year, we won 7 in a row. So, but then, I got into my sophomore year, and, you know, those seniors were gone, and, we had great senior leadership that year as well. And really, every like across the board for my time there, like, we had great senior leadership. But, like, winning that 8th championship, and maintaining the streak, like that, it kind of weighed on us a little bit. And you know, uh, unfortunately, we didn't perform that day at our best ability. But you know, you have those days. And then my junior year, we unfortunately didn't win a conference championship. And then, my senior year, we came back and won it again. But really, it's not about the streaks. I mean, win a conference championship is great, but the most important thing that I'll take away, especially from my teammates and my coaches, is, the bond that we developed over those 4 years. And those two coaches, Coach Her and Coach Schneider, and Coach Winchko too. They're like father figures to me, and I have friends for life, and I consider them my brother. So yes, we've done a lot of winning at St. Vincent in our program, and that's great. But the most important thing is I'll have bonds for life. So, and I mean, and the development academically and athletically, because of my teammates, I can never thank them enough for that experience. So, but yes, winning is nice.
Yeah, man. You got 50% of the wins there. So that ain't too bad. Not everybody's destined to be a winner, and a winner in college is definitely really hard to accomplish. So, definitely kudos to you and your Bearcat friends there and your teammates and coaches. So, you guys are doing something right down there. So, pretty good stuff. Now let's talk about the adversity of the 2019-2020 school year. This was so hard. Personally,
Yeah.
I've seen what you went through and felt it for you. Didn't exactly, obviously I'm not you, but cross country was tough because you had some body issues going on, with unfortunately just not getting enough your blood sugar right and stuff, something they diagnosed. And then you're like, all right, I got this on track, an indoor, and you're feeling good, and then suddenly COVID-19 hits. What are your thoughts personally on your senior year and what you can kind of take away from it, kind of almost a year out from it?
Yeah, I mean, it was just wild. I mean, going into that fall, it was a great semester. We won a conference championship. We had a great team, a great group of guys. And like I had some struggles, especially with my health, late in the season, but I mean, we won a championship, and I was a part of that. So, all that struggle was worth it, because we won as a team. So, but in indoor, I got off to a slow start, but then the last race, I felt like I got some momentum for the outdoor season because I actually put together a good race finally. But I mean, then it just hit, like, the pandemic, and I was just in shock. And originally we were told that we'd only be home for 2 weeks, and then we'd be back, and we'd be competing at Carnegie Mellon that following week, after we get back. So I was like, okay, like, just guys knew, like, just stay prepared, and we'll be back. We'll be back competing, in a couple weeks, and it'll be all good. And then things hit, and then the NCAA tournament got canceled, and then we knew that things were in trouble there. And I'll never forget that night, when we kind of knew that things were going to be done. I mean, things weren't confirmed yet, but I mean, we had a pretty good idea that that was going to be it. So I just remember just being in shock, and just not being able to compete, especially my senior year, my last year as a collegiate athlete, because I was looking forward to my events in the 10K and 5K, see what I can do, especially with that momentum that I got from my last indoor meet. And it's unfortunate, you can't do anything about it, but man, that was devastating. So but there's nothing that you can do, but man, like, it hurt bad. So
Just kind of that empty feeling, I can imagine. It's just like you were gonna get it after your last race, but you didn't know that a random indoor race that you probably had in Ohio, because that's where St. Vincent runs all the time.
Right, it was at Youngstown State.
Yeah, talk about going out with a pretty good venue and at a big stage, at least. The Youngstown State indoor meet's huge, so that's a pretty good one to end on. Looking back, I guess still not the grandest ending to a career, but
Yeah.
better than some could say, I guess. So you were talking about continuing to train a little bit after the news broke. You were telling me this last weekend. You said, I was continuing to train, and then one day at the track, I just kind of collapsed, and I just said, what am I doing? What am I doing? Why am I continuing to do this? Kind of talk about, taking almost a year kind of off from running, not exactly off, but, how it kind of helped you, kind of refine yourself, regain some confidence in the sport, and now how you're giving back to the sport.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, like I still, did a workout because I'm like, what, I'm just gonna stay in shape, and I think it was like an 800 workout, and at the end of it, I was pretty tired, and I was bending over, and I just laid down. I was like, why am I doing this? So, and then for a while there, probably like from mid March to May, like I didn't do anything. And then probably like June to August, I I ran, but it wasn't consistent. I only get out once or twice a week, if that. And then in the fall, it was the same case, just once or twice a week. And then I take 2 or 3 weeks off, and it was just kind of hard to motivate myself because there wasn't anything going on. There wasn't any races to look forward to, and it really would have helped if like I had a race, to train for, but I didn't have that. So, and then, I just continued to be on that inconsistent schedule, and then, an opportunity came up to coach, at Johnsonburg, which I ran 4 years of high school at, and I thought to myself that it'd be a good way, like you said, to give back to the kids, and you know, share my knowledge with them, and just to get involved, with the sport of track again. So I felt like it was, a really good opportunity. So I'm back involved with the sport. I'm an assistant varsity coach for Johnsonburg, and I'm running with the kids here and there, so it's good to be involved with it again, and it's fun. I'm having fun with it so far, so I'm glad to be running more consistently, and I realized how much I missed it. Yes, I'm I'm not in good shape, but I'm out there doing it, so that's
For
the most
sure.
important thing at this point.
Exactly. It's good that you found that fun with it. It seems like a lot of times, when you run 60, 80 miles a week, I don't know exactly what it is. Everybody's going to be different with that amount anyway. But, I feel like if you do anything that much, you just kind of burn out and get sick of it. So I'm just glad that you took your time to reflect, and you found the sport again. Let's kind of talk about one specific thing that we've talked about in your journey. I've written a couple articles about you in the past, which is pretty awesome that you're my best friend, and I got to do that. Let's talk about kind of being the underdog. When you were first born, you were just 1 pound.
Yeah.
And you kind of go from being 1 pound to being a small guy to being all the way to being a collegiate athlete, now a coach. When you kind of look back on your journey to where you are today, what's it kind of mean to you, and how do you think you kind of have overcome adversity throughout your life?
Yeah, I mean, well, I really wasn't aware of my adversity until a few years, but
Sure.
like it's just it's crazy, how far I've come, when I really, in all honesty, shouldn't even be here. um I mean, um I was a smaller guy, but like, I had to find the right sport for me, and I just, my message, really is just to not give up no matter what your size. If you want to do something, and you're good at it, go do it. Like, it doesn't matter, like how small you are, or where you come from. If you really set your mind to something, you can definitely do it. So, like, it's just how far I've come, as a person, from where I started. It's, I mean, I don't really like think about it that much because I'm only 23 years old, but
Sure.
like, just sitting back and thinking about it now, like it's pretty crazy, how far I come, especially from where I started at. So, but yeah, really, it doesn't matter, what your background is. If you say your mind to things, you can do it. So.
Yeah. What would you say to people who are considering, becoming an avid runner? What would you say to that, person who's not a runner now or is an occasional runner? What would your message be to those people to kind of convert them and get them hooked on the sport?
Well, once you're on your first race, you really probably won't stop. So yeah, it's a great sport. And really, the biggest thing is that you dictate how good you are. You know, you look at these other team sports, and sometimes things are out of your control. But if you want to get into running, like, you control your destiny. And really, progression. That's that's key. Once you get your first race started, and you just want to keep getting better and better. And really, running to get out there is good. Obviously for your physical health, but you meet so many good people at these races, and you can get in different running groups and things like that. So your physical health will improve. And you meet so many good people. There's so many good people in the sport of running. And once you run that first race, you get hooked, and it's really about improving yourself, and just continual improvement. From a physical standpoint, and really too, it's good for mental health too, because you're in the outdoors and running, and it's a really good release for a lot of people. So there's a lot of good aspects about it. So yeah, that's what I would say to somebody who is interested in running. So
Yeah, man. So obviously your time as I'm sure you might compete in some 5Ks, and you probably have plans to run half marathons, maybe a marathon like your Uncle Terry at some point in your life. But right now you're not competing or anything. And you're transitioning to a different sort of path and have a career in business and communications. Kind of talk about, what you've done over the last, 8, 10, 12 months in terms of your career, getting that started and what you're doing.
yeah, so in late July, I got hired at Priority Media as a sales associate. So that's been a good process, and I've been doing a lot as far as helping out with advertising and writing copy, and other things as far as sales and facilitating that. And that's been good. And everybody I work with there is fantastic, and they've helped me through a lot of things. And the process has been great there, and I've been learning a ton. So it's a good start for me, as far as being in the communication field. They give me a lot of opportunities to grow and succeed. And I'm very thankful for that. And I couldn't have asked for a better staff, and coworkers to work with, for my first job. So it's been a great process, and I'm happy to be there. I'm very happy to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about your roots. Obviously, Western PA, born and bred. Let's talk about that. Obviously, this is Western PA sports blog, so we got to tie that in somehow.
Yeah.
What's it kind of mean to you to kind of have that Western PA, pride, and what's it kind of mean to you to be representing Western Pennsylvania, kind of at the collegiate level, and what's it mean to you to still live there to this day?
Yeah, it means a lot. I take pride in my roots, and I take pride in being from Ridgway and running for St. Vincent, because right now I'm not doing it, but like when I was competing, I felt like that I was representing Ridgway, and representing my school, and running for them, just not for me, and not just for my teammates, but for Ridgway and Elk County, and and the green and gold. So I took a lot of pride in that. So that means a lot to me to be visible, for these areas. So it means a lot. And I really carried that with me each time I went out to race. So
Yeah, last question I kind of have for you, Jake. Obviously, avid sports fan, like we've alluded to, kind of at the start and also throughout this. Let's talk about your teams. Let's talk about Steeler football. Let's talk about Penn State football, Pirates baseball, and now Phoenix Suns basketball, because you kind of follow Chris Paul around wherever he goes. Let's talk about your
Yeah.
teams and, kind of your knowledge and why you kind of like all those teams.
Yeah, really. I mean, with Steelers football and Penn State, I really was hooked like since I was 3 years old. I mean, because I was born in Pittsburgh, so like I just got hooked. Like, I mean, my family like both teams, but like I like the passion that I have for. I mean, not just those teams, but just NFL and college football in general is just I don't even know. I can't even have the words to describe it. It's just I love it. I love everything about it. So um, yeah, I mean, football season's like Christmas every day for me. So yeah, and then obviously the Pirates. You got to really test yourself there with them. But I'm still, a Pirates fan, so I got to take with the good and the bad. And there's not a lot of good, but hey, I mean, you gotta hang in there. So, and then yeah, with the Phoenix Suns, I mean, I'm really kind of a bandwagon fan of the NBA. I'm a big fan of the NBA. I don't really have like I don't really have a rival, so to say, for the NBA. I just enjoy it in general. Um, but I mean, I follow the Phoenix Suns because of my favorite player, Chris Paul, and throughout his career when he's been in New Orleans and Los Angeles with the Clippers, and then OKC, I've been a fan of all those teams. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm happy, with the Suns right now and having a good season, and hopefully that continues. But I really am, just a fan of the NBA, of all teams really. And honestly, I don't know who I'm going to root for after Chris Paul retires.
Sure, absolutely.
But we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah, I think he's got a few years left. He's still playing at a very high level, one of the best point guards in the NBA, an all-star this year. No matter what team he goes to, he's had success, which is amazing considering how much bouncing around he's done over the last couple of years.
Yep.
Notice how I didn't say hockey, and you and I kind of think the same about this. We
Yeah.
kind of just love to see the Penguins lose because of the people around here just getting all fired up about it. So this probably won't go over very well if people watch to the 30-minute mark of this. But let's talk about why we kind of bond over, kind of loving to see the Penguins kind of go down after seeing all the fans that are kind of around us, on social media and just kind of being face to face with them too.
Yeah, I mean, I'll root for the Penguins, but like I'm not a huge like hockey fan. Like I really don't follow it in the regular season. I'll root for them in the playoffs and watch the playoffs. But like I don't know, a few years ago, the fandom around St. Vincent got a little bit annoying, in my opinion. And I found myself rooting for the Capitals. So I don't know. I just got a little bit tired of it, but I mean, I still like the Penguins, but I mean, it's kind of here and there for me, So if the attention increases, then I usually find myself rooting against them.
That's so funny. I'm with you on that too. I kind of like to see him go down just to see the Penguins fans get fired up about them losing because I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
they're intense. They're one of the best fan bases in all of sports.
Oh, no question.
So seeing them kind of get fired up in a negative way is kind of hilarious because, I do love Western PA, but that one's kind of funny to me. And also, secondly, seeing Pitt go down in sports, Pitt Panthers, that's pretty sweet as well. I know that there's some people who go to Pitt that are going to be watching this that probably won't be happy with me, but I'm a Penn State fan through and through. I grew up a Pitt fan, and changes that they made over the years kind of turned me off to them. And obviously kind of love to see them go down as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I really only dislike Pitt football. I found myself rooting for like the basketball program and then other programs, but I mean, Pitt football, with the rivalry that they've created with Penn State over the years, I really I would prefer I would prefer them not to succeed. So,
Sure.
but yeah, I really I'm a fan of Pitt athletics, with the exception of the football team. So,
For sure.
but other than that, I have nothing against Pitt.
Yeah, I'm mostly just talking football. Football, basketball, I'm not really the biggest fan of Pitt of those two teams. Pitt athletics
Yeah.
in general, no problem with them though, for sure. So,
Yeah.
hey, Jake, appreciate you joining me. I'm glad we could connect for this. Hopefully, this will be a good jump start to, hopefully some interviews coming up with people from all over Western Pennsylvania. So I appreciate you being the inaugural interview here for this platform. So thanks for your time and for chiming in and sharing about your journey. So I really appreciate it.
Yep, I appreciate you, man. And hopefully this starts something good for you. So looking forward to, the page growing, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Glad to do it. So yeah, that's going to wrap up interview number 1 for Western PA Sports Blog. I'm Nate Stice, joined by Jake Mercer, an alum from St. Vincent College who ran for the track and field and cross country programs. We'll see you all next time.